Welcome viewers to Bodhi Unified Flow. Here we simplify complexity and amplify performance. I am absolutely thrilled to guide you through this detailed explainer on what is, quite frankly, one of the most transformative elements in construction project management today. We're diving deep into the last planner system foundations, specifically focusing on Part 6, Level 4 weekly work planning. This is also known as the will phase, where we actually secure specific promises. Listen, if you've ever dealt with chaotic job sites, delayed schedules, or misaligned trades just constantly stepping on each other's toes, the concepts we're unpacking today are going to be an absolute game changer for you.
Here's our roadmap for today. We'll kick off with a quick introduction, explore the will horizon, break down the 4 quality criteria, talk about securing reliable promises, dive into measuring with PPC, and finally wrap it all up with a summary. Let's get right into it.
Section 1, Introduction. We are shifting gears from those massive macro-level project schedules, those giant big-picture Gantt charts, straight down to the granular, on-the-ground execution.
Before we get into the mechanics, I want to be crystal clear about what you're going to take away from this session. By the end of this explainer, you won't just understand the will phase in theory. You'll actually be able to apply the 4 strict quality criteria to any task before it even gets scheduled. You'll learn the real psychology and strategy behind securing public, highly reliable promises from your team. And finally, you'll know exactly how to calculate and utilize the % plan complete metric to fundamentally drive continuous improvement on your projects.
Moving on to Section 2, the will planning horizon. Let's zoom out for just a second to really understand exactly where this fits in the overall planning landscape.
The last planner system is built on a very specific 5-tier logic. Think of it like a giant funnel. It starts really wide at the top with what should be done according to the master plan. Then it filters down to what can be done. That's the look-ahead phase, where you're actively clearing constraints. Next, we arrive at level 4, the tightest part of the planning funnel, what will be done. This is the weekly work plan. After that, we track what we actually did, and finally, we learn from those results. Today, our laser focus is entirely on that 3rd step, the will phase. This is the highly collaborative commitment level, where tasks that have successfully made it through the funnel and are fully cleared of all constraints get officially selected for execution.
Now, this represents a massive paradigm shift. Traditional construction management relies incredibly heavily on a push system. That basically means someone sitting in an office creates the schedule based on top-down guessing and then forces that schedule onto the field completely regardless of the actual real-time site conditions. What happens? You end up with crews arriving to do work when the site isn't even ready for them. It's chaos. The last planner system transitions a project from this chaotic push to a highly reliable pull system. Pull planning relies on collaborative commitment. You are only pulling work into the weekly schedule based on actual task readiness and the true, verified capacity of your crews.
So you might be wondering, who is actually making these commitments? Well, it's the last planner. And to be super clear, we aren't talking about an executive in a boardroom miles away. We are talking about the trade foreman or the site superintendent. Why them? Because they're the ones physically looking at the actual crew, the actual materials, and the real weather conditions outside. They're the specific individuals with the real authority to assign resources, direct the crew, and make binding promises. They control the tools and the teams. So they are uniquely positioned to look you in the eye and say, yes, we will do this.
All right, Section 3, the 4 quality criteria. Let's really get into the gritty details here.
You simply cannot just throw tasks onto a weekly work plan just because you want them done. It doesn't work that way. Before any task is allowed to enter the weekly work plan, it must pass an incredibly rigorous 4-part test. First, it's got to be defined, meaning it isn't vague. It has a detailed, specific task breakdown. Second, it must be sound. This means it is completely unconstrained. All the materials and information are ready, no waiting on a delayed permit, an unanswered RFI, or a missing pallet of bricks. Third, it must be properly sequenced, meaning all the interdependencies with other trades have been assessed and completely resolved. And fourth, it has to be sized. The workload absolutely must accurately match the crew's available capacity for that specific week. Listen, only tasks that pass all 4 of these strict criteria are allowed onto the weekly work plan.
But wait, what happens to tasks that actually meet these criteria but aren't the primary focus for the week? Well, this is where we build our safety net. We divide our fully prepared tasks into 2 distinct categories, critical tasks and the workable backlog. Critical tasks are incorporated directly into the weekly work plan right within the crew's capacity. But the workable backlog? That acts as your brilliant plan B. These are tasks that are completely messy. They're defined, sound, sequenced, and sized, but they are held in reserve. Because if a primary critical task finishes early or hits some unexpected roadblock on a Tuesday morning, the crew doesn't just stand around waiting. No way. They immediately pull a task from the Workable backlog. This fiercely protects your workflow and keeps your teams highly productive.
Section 4. Securing reliable promises. We've talked a lot about the tasks themselves. Now let's talk about the humans actually executing them.
The weekly work planning phase is frequently referred to as commitment planning. But a commitment is really only as good as its reliability. A reliable promise in the last planner system is a firm commitment based on a few absolute non-negotiable elements. First up, there must be a mutual understanding of the conditions of satisfaction, or COS. What does done actually look like? Are we just sweeping the floor, or are we sweeping and mopping? That level of clarity is the condition of satisfaction. Second, there must be available wherewithal, meaning those constraints are genuinely gone. And third, it requires highly accurate estimates of time and capacity. The performer is seriously evaluating their actual bandwidth before ever saying the word yes.
There's an incredibly powerful psychological engine running behind this entire system. Research by Ballard and others points out that at these weekly planning sessions, participants make commitments in public. They literally stake their reputation on their ability to deliver on their promises. Think about that for a second. When a concrete foreman looks the electrical foreman in the eye in front of the entire project team and promises a slab will be poured by Wednesday, a deeply powerful social contract is formed. This public commitment builds a network of trust, accountability, and reliability between the trades on a site that traditional top-down scheduling simply cannot achieve.
So how does this actually happen on the ground? The mechanics involve a highly collaborative poll session. It is not a single project manager just dictating terms from the head of the table. During this meeting, intra-cluster constraints are identified, meaning the everyday friction between different trades working in the exact same zone is negotiated face-to-face. It's like making absolutely sure we aren't waiting for the drywallers to finish before the electricians can even start pulling wire. Furthermore, the resulting weekly work plan is not a static PDF that gets printed out and ignored in a trailer. It's a living, breathing document that gets modified during the week and acts as a vital daily management tool to navigate the actual unfolding realities of the job site.
Section 5. Measuring with PPC. Because let's be real, talk is cheap. If we are making all these reliable promises, how do we know if we are actually keeping them?
Enter percent plan complete, universally known as PPC. Listen, if you take away just one metric from today, make it this one. This is the absolute ultimate metric for Level 4, and it's the critical feedback loop for project production control.
The math behind PPC is brilliantly simple. It is calculated by taking the exact number of fully completed assignments and dividing that by the total number of scheduled assignments made for that given week. It yields a percentage from 0 to 100%. So if you collaboratively planned 10 tasks and you fully completed 8 of them exactly as promised, your PPC is 80%. A consistently high PPC deeply reflects a well-planned production process with really high workflow reliability. But if the PPC is less than 100%, it clearly flags a failure somewhere in the production planning process that needs to be systematically investigated.
Now, the absolutely crucial point is how you use this data. And frankly, this is where many traditional project managers get it drastically wrong. PPC is strictly to identify the root causes of variability. When an assignment isn't completed, the team documents the exact reason. Was it a lack of materials, an unexpected weather issue, or maybe an unrealistic capacity estimate? We track these root causes to drastically improve our future planning. PPC is never, and I truly cannot stress this enough, it is never used as a weapon to blame individuals for schedule delays. The moment you use PPC to point fingers, the last planners will stop making honest, reliable promises, and the entire collaborative system just collapses.
To keep this feedback loop incredibly tight, Level 4 feeds directly into Level 5, the daily huddles. Forget those hour-long, unproductive meetings where half the room is staring at their phones. The daily rhythm involves maximum 20-minute, highly focused stand-ups right out there on site. In these fast-paced huddles, the team discusses exactly 3 things: what was done yesterday, what is being done today, and importantly, is anything holding up work for tomorrow. This daily mechanism ensures constant alignment, allows the team to rapidly address new constraints, and serves as the primary, real-time collection point for gathering those PPC delay reasons, again, without pointing any fingers.
Section 6, Summary and References. Let's lock in the immense value we've uncovered in today's explainer.
Here are your core takeaways.
Level 4 of the last planner system represents a fundamental, massive shift from top-down guessing to true collaborative commitment. Before work is ever scheduled, tasks must rigorously meet the 4 criteria. They must be defined, sound, sequenced, and sized. We rely on the last planners, the people physically closest to the work, to make public, highly reliable promises to one another. And finally, we measure the reliability of our planning, not the speed of our workers, using % plan complete, strictly avoiding a culture of blame to constantly foster continuous improvement.
Looking back at our goals for today, we've successfully mastered the logic of the will horizon. You are now fully equipped to apply the 4 quality criteria to ruthlessly filter out unready work. You understand the profound psychological impact of securing reliable public promises. And you've learned how to calculate and effectively utilize PPC to identify and eliminate the root causes of workflow variability.
It's really important to note that everything we covered today isn't just theory. It's backed by literally decades of rigorous lean construction research. Our insights are firmly grounded in the foundational works of experts like Glenn Ballard, Farouk Hamza, Lori Koskela, and supported by global construction management standards like ISO 1583-1. These exact methodologies have been tested, proven, and refined on some of the absolute most complex job sites worldwide.
I want to leave you with a really powerful thought. Just imagine a chaotic job site suddenly transforming into a synchronized operation where everyone does exactly what they promised they would do precisely when they promised to do it. Think about the massive amount of friction, wasted time, and budget overruns that would completely eliminate. So I ask you, how will shifting from traditional top-down guessing to a system of public reliable promises transform the workflow on your next project? The tools are right here in Level 4 of the last planner system. It is time to start pulling and stop pushing. Thank you so much for joining me today, and keep amplifying your performance.